Block Podcast. I am Robin. This is my wonderful co-host Dallas.
Woo-woo!
Episode 2. Let's do it.
What are we talking about today? Learning from our mistakes.
Learning from our mistakes. Yes, I like this topic. What do you feel like are some mistakes that you've made in your 20s?
In my 20s?
Yeah.
I was, still kind of am, don't tell nobody, horrible with money. Like notoriously horrible with money.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just like, I just don't think I really had any grasp of like what it meant to have all that money all the time. Like from working. So I was just terrible with it. Like to the point like I had a car repoed. That taught me a lot. I haven't missed a car payment since. It was embarrassing. Yeah. It was like very real. Like, and it was always a fight for survival. Even if I had the money, it was like I would waste it and know I was wasting it, and then I would be struggling and be like, why did I waste? It's like an endless cycle.
I feel like money is just a hard one. I feel like even if you're 35, 40, I feel like, I don't know, I hope to not be struggling with money, you know, making the same decisions that I made in my 20s, but yeah, I don't know. That one's tough. It
was a rough one.
Yeah. But I feel like when you learn certain things, like you didn't get your car repoed, and you kind of would have maybe still been doing the same things, I guess.
Absolutely. I don't know. Absolutely. I don't know. Yeah. I was running on fumes, and I feel like I was just like, yeah, it'll get better eventually, and it just I never did anything to change that.
Yeah.
I was absolutely not learning from my mistakes.
Finances are hard, though, in your 20s. Who tells you how to spend your money in your 20s? You get your first job, you move out, you know, like
I was out of state too, so
navigate
it was
money?
A lot.
Yeah.
And I think now I'm getting better. I think I still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But like, there's never like it used to be like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna have a place to live because I don't have rent. Now it's like, okay, I have my bills paid for. Now it's just about doing what I want to do.
Priorities at the age of 20, you know.
Yeah.
In your 20s, you gotta have priorities. Like these bills
gotta get paid. Have priorities when you just want to have fun. Get paid,
but I want that Tesla.
I want to go out and have fun. I want to go drinking with my friends.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
Yeah. I feel like finances, I don't know. It's always been hard for me in my 20s. So like I do agree with that part. Like learning how to spend and navigate through money is really tough. Especially when you work like a normal 9 to 5 and you know you need this, you need that. Bills gotta get paid. So I feel like money has taught me a lot of valuable lessons throughout this era, but still not the best at it for sure.
What's something you feel like you learned from in your 20s?
In my 20s, I learned how much of an empath I am. And so, like, I feel like a mistake that I've made with that would be caring for others more than I care for myself. I'm always wanting to care for the next person. Like, I give the next person anything. You need some shoes? Hey, here you go. Here's my shoes. But that's not necessarily a bad thing until you start taking away from yourself and the things that you need and, you know, not really loving on myself as much as I should, basically. So that's like a big regret because I don't want to give to everybody and then just leave myself with nothing. So I'm trying to be better at that. Like, it's okay to care for people, but also don't forget to care for yourself. Like, I feel like that's been not a mistake, but a lesson, you know, in the long run.
You got to learn how
can't give everything to everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge life lesson.
I feel like something I struggle with learning from my mistakes is like, it's such an open admission to being wrong.
Yeah.
And it sucks being wrong and like having to admit that like that was a terrible mistake. Like you don't want to, like you know what I'm saying? And it's like, but the consequences obviously are bigger than that a lot of times.
I feel like you need mistakes though, and that's where I'm like, I feel like you need mistakes because if you did not do anything wrong, how are you supposed to learn? You know?
Yeah, I say more like it's just admitting that you were wrong. Yeah, is the hard part. That's like being like, oh, I was wrong. That was a bad decision. I shouldn't have done that. Like you did it in the first place because you were assuming that it was gonna work out for you or do like you know the way you want, and when it didn't, it's like, well, all right, it was me.
It sucks to be wrong, but it sucks even more if like you just don't even try anything at all. Like
I think that's the easy way out for sure.
It sucks to be wrong. No one likes to be wrong. Like I don't know. You tell me something I did wrong, and I'm like, dang, I probably should have done that, and I feel really bad within myself, but. At the same time, I learned the next time, maybe you shouldn't do that way, or maybe you should try a different route or whatever. I feel like that's what mistakes are meant to teach you, like a different route, not necessarily failure, but like a different route to take more so than just getting super down on yourself and being upset. So
I like that.
Do you take criticism? Well, I guess that's what you're saying right now, that you don't really like, you don't like people to tell you like, ah, you did that wrong.
No, I guess no. I think I take criticism really well. I think what I mean more of is like, okay, for example, with me, like in the money thing, it's like after a while I had to admit like, Dallas, you're the problem in
I'm the
your
problem.
life. Like, you know
I'm
what I'm
the
saying?
problem.
It's you spending
Yeah.
your money and then complaining that you
They
don't
don't
have
have
any
any.
money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta, all right, enough is enough at a certain point, or it isn't enough, and you're just gonna continue this cycle and never grow or get better,
Yeah.
or constantly get beaten down by it. So I think like that's what I mean in terms of like having to admit you're wrong. Like
Yeah.
the first step is admitting that there's a
Starts with
problem
you.
there, and that's
Yeah.
hard. You know what I'm saying? That was hard. Is hard for me, I think, because like I want to be prideful in the fact that like I made right decisions, good decisions, but like that's not life. That's not how life works.
I try to carry this with me more than anything. Your mistakes do not define you, because you're gonna make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but why do we fall into these holes of like, oh, I did this terrible thing, and now this, and now that? But like, let's just like take a break and just like, okay, well, I did that, and it's okay that I did that, but I don't have to beat myself up about like that mistake, because no one gives you a rule book. I mean, they do, I guess. There's so many books of how to not do this in your 20s, how to not, how to stay on track. But it's just like those things are all easier said than done.
It's all contextual too. Like we live such different lives.
Everybody's life is different.
So it's like you can't really. There's no cookie cutter answer to anything. So like in your own individual life,
it's like you need mistakes more than anything, because they teach you how to navigate through the rest.
Yeah.
Like they teach you more than what you're asking for, basically. But I feel like if I didn't make any mistakes, I don't know where I would be.
Life would be so boring.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want that life of just getting everything right and just being so perfect and like, oh, got an A, yep. If I taking tests in school, like if I didn't study, I didn't get a good grade. That was my reward. So like I learned from my mistakes. Like,
yeah,
you didn't study, so don't expect a good outcome for something that you did not even put the work into.
I think that like mistakes are like, it's something to like work towards, like when you mess up and you keep messing up, it feels so much better to get it right than to have got it right on the first shot. Like it's cool. You'd be like, oh, that was cool, nice, got it, figured it out, cool, that's done. But like if you're doing something and it takes you time after time, you keep failing, and then you get it right, it's like you struck gold or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the feeling you get means so much more. Like if you were always happy, you really wouldn't be. It would just be a normal thing. But like being sad makes you so much more grateful for being happy. And I feel like the same thing works with your mistakes. It's like the more mistakes you make, like that can bring you down. But once you figure it out, like, you know what I'm saying? Like with the car thing, like getting reports from my credit bureaus or whatever, like, hey, like, great job, your credit's going up because you've been paying this X amount of time. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. Now I want to get from 6 months to the year. Now I want to get from year to 5 years. Baby steps. So baby steps, but like, it all had to. It had started from something that was really like bad. For me, I hated that.
I want to say like too, like in your younger years too, like how do your parents teach you to navigate your mistakes? Do they yell at you and tell you like, no, you don't do that or whatever? Because those things all bring you up into adulthood too. Like how were mistakes perceived when you were younger? For me more so, like I want to say, on the verge of like, don't do this, don't do that. And as I grow up, like every time I make a mistake, I'm like, oh, I just and
yeah.
So like thinking back into those years too, and like the root of like where those feelings come from when you actually make a mistake that's like so heartbreaking. It's very important too, I think.
What I feel like I see with parents is like
no more gentle parenting nowadays.
Well, I just mean like I think that, what am I trying to say? Parents know what we're going through, right? Like they've already lived it there, and so their natural instinct is just to give you the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which one, as a kid, like that makes me want to do it even more. Yeah. No, you shouldn't do that. Yours as a parent, they're saying it like that will end very bad. Like it could end very terribly, and you just can't see that.
You just don't care.
But for you, you're like, oh, they're just telling me not to do this because they don't want me to have fun and be with my friends. And it's like, it's a slippery slope because like now it's like, okay, now I want to do it more because they said not to.
Yeah.
But and for parents, I think it's frustrating because you can see that like I've given you the answers and you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
But it's like when I feel my little sister is like half the things she does, like she's got to learn, I think, by herself and learn through.
I
The only
think
way
we
I
all,
learned these
that's what
things
I'm
was through
saying. We all
experience.
have to learn by ourselves. I feel like someone could tell you, hey, don't go do that. But if you have that gut feeling like I'm gonna do this anyway, like,
You can
and
do
then
it.
it goes wrong, like you're like, you could look back at the people who told you not to, but you've already done it. I feel like we all have to learn some way, somehow. Like life just teaches you on its own, and it's okay to make mistakes. Life will figure itself out.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope with life figuring itself out that you don't dig yourself in the deeper hole. That's deeper and deeper. I hope it just gets better and better. But
The more mistakes you make, the more refined anything is gonna be.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you make a mistake and you get it right the second time, someone who makes a mistake like 10, 15 times, by the time they get to a final product, it's gonna be foolproof.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or a final outcome that they're looking for. Like, you've gone through every round with, nope, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. So you've created this like fine-tuned experience for yourself where like I guess I'm thinking of this like as like someone like has a product, and they're trying to sell it or they're trying to build something or create something. And it's like you got to go through a million stages before you figure out.
Yeah.
And what happens if you get it right and then it breaks somehow? Now what happens? How do you move from that? Is it all failure or do you just continue to keep working?
That's what I'm saying. Like, don't look at mistakes as failures because then I feel like just a downward process from that. Like if you look at them as failures, then it's just so many more failures to come, I guess, because mistakes don't stop happening, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think personally, I think it's good to fail. Mm-hmm. I like using the word fail because I feel like there is such a negative connotation to it, but like that is what happens. Like you had a goal and you didn't get to those expectations.
That's the non-sugar coated version of life though. Like everyone wants you to see the success as we talk about all the time, or like, oh, the highlight moments of life, but no one's talking about the failure parts of like, oh, this didn't really work out, this didn't really work out. It took me years to get to this point. Like it took me years to do this or that. Like I think that part is like so closed off as the process that it takes to get to, learning from that mistake and stuff like that. So.
I also think it's interesting though, like when you listen to interviews and you listen to people who are hyper famous or like they have something successful, they're seen as successful, they always usually say like it was very hard to get here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we take that for like, like whatever, yeah, it's always hard, life is hard, whatever. But like when people get pushed with something very hard or something that like you don't want to change about yourself, like it's hard when people are like, this is a problem with you and you never even saw it as a problem. Like, what the heck are you talking about? And all of a sudden you're like, I have to change?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's very difficult for a lot of people. So when it comes to like success, it's like people don't realize how much they would have to change about their own individual lives to get the lives that they're quote unquote envisioning for themselves. So it's like, how hard are you willing to work? How many failures are you willing to go through to get it right?
I said we're only in our 20s, so it's just like, why think of mistakes on such a broad aspect when we could have forever to go with a life full of mistakes?
Mm-hmm.
So like, why think of it as where we are now? Like, no more failures. Just keep going. Trust the process, and learn from the mistakes more than anything. Don't let them be so heartbreaking. And that's easier said than done because anytime I make a mistake, like I said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trust the process. What does this pill say? Doing my best.
That's all we can do.
So that's what you take with the mistakes. Yeah. You're doing your best. Do your best and forget about the rest.
Mm-hmm.
All about the quotes.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
Get knocked down 9 times, stand up 10. That's I think the most important part about like learning from your mistakes.
Knocked down 9 times.
I already got you.
Woo. Yeah, on the 9th time, I might be struggling, but hey, yeah.
But you're gonna get up. What are you gonna do? Just lay there? Stay on the ground?
No,
you gotta get up. You gotta keep putting. That's the whole point of it, Is like it's only really a mistake or a failure if you just let it stay there. I think it's turns into a lesson and part of your story once you're like, okay, that was something I did. Now I changed of course, but like I wouldn't have known to go on this course unless I made that mistake.
just think about it. We have all these stories because we made the mistakes, and now,
You know
like,
what I'm
just as our
saying?
parents were trying to tell us, I guess more so, but you have to go through your own, like you said, journey and like process in life. And now we can tell our stories in hopes that people, take a different route. But at the end of the day, they're gonna have to make their own decisions and choices, and learn from their mistakes their way. Like, I don't think there's any really cookie cutter way to learn from mistakes. I think you just gotta get on that roller coaster and yeah.
I think usually the and how it was for me at least. I'm gonna talk for myself. It's like mistake. All right, wasn't for me. Next thing, try it. Messed up. Not for me. Try it again. And opposed to being like, that was difficult. I was really bad at it. Let's try it again. Try and be better the second time. Let's try and be better the third time. So I think for me, learning that like the mistake
A lesson.
is just as much as part of the process as the success. You know what I'm saying? There would be no success without messing up a few times.
I feel like as long as we're reminding each other that, like, you have to have those friends that are telling you, like, hey, you're doing good. I don't care what that outside, everything else looks like. I feel like those friends are important because those are the ones, like, you could be getting so down on yourself for whatever. And your friends will come in and be like, hey, no, you're actually doing really good. You're doing this, you're doing that. Like, those supportive friend groups, that even if you do make a mistake, they don't really care about the mistakes you're making because all they're focusing on is your wins. And I think that's like a really important. Like, you need good friends, you need good support groups.
And people be surprised how much more like everyone is in need of that like affirmation and struggling, and like giving that to the people you love. So they know, because like it can get intimidating and daunting to like feel like you're alone in your journey. But like there are definitely people who are in your corner, and they probably feel the exact same way where they feel alone in their journey, and it's like they would like to be reminded they need people in their corner too. So I definitely think that's important as well.
You gotta love on your friends and make sure that they're in good spirits, doing well, regardless of they could be stressing about a test, they could be stressing about relationships, anything. You never know with like friends and stuff like that. And like something that could have happened to them months ago. So
I think it's important too. I read this book when it was like one of the most important things was don't take anything personal, and the 4 agreements. And I feel like that's like been like one of the pivotal points in my life because like it's like, oh, my friends don't check up on me or like but like they're going through, we're all living lives and going through a lot, and so it's important to like give your friends that grace. Also, it's like they might not always be there to highlight every success you have. That doesn't mean that they're not in your corner hoping that you get all the success you deserve, Right. So I think it's important to like, if you need help, like speak up. Sometimes your friends don't know and they're struggling too, so they don't even realize.
A lot of people just like to go through stuff internally. And
exactly.
You see them at a party or something, a social event, and you'll think they're fine, but like I said, they may be struggling with something that they just don't even talk about. But because you've seen them at this party and they were so high energy, like the vibe seemed good, you probably like, all right, they're all right. But yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. And so I want to take from that, like just checking on friends and learning from mistakes all at the same time, because it's just like that stuff matters to you. Friends matter when it comes to failures in life and all that other stuff like that's important. And just trusting that wherever those mistakes are going, like there's a better outcome. At least I hope so.
But you gotta be willing also to change. When we talk about manifesting with luck, is like you can't make a mistake and then be like, well, it was that person's fault. But let me try it again. Maybe I just didn't do it right. Like you got to be willing to change what you're doing to get a different
Don't blame
outcome.
anyone. I'm not saying that. Like, absolutely don't, not take accountability for like your action, to like put them on other people, because then that just leads to other things. Like taking accountability would definitely be important to that journey too. So for sure. Not trying to discredit that. I don't want a bunch of people making mistakes and like, it's your fault. So
it's a whole other ball game with that one.
So I agree with that. To 100%. I think that's all I got for today. Learning from mistakes.
It's difficult. I think it's again one of them things that's so ongoing.
I don't ever want to get on here and just highlight the positive moments of learning from mistakes, and that's why I'm just like, okay, like no, we're gonna have to go through those mistakes. We're gonna have to work through them. Like there is no way out of going through mistakes and like learn that process of learning. Like there is no way for me to say that you can get out of that. I think you just got to go through it. So I never want to
keep going through it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna keep happening, and part of life is keep fighting through it. Like, it will not be easy all the time, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. So just ride the wave and understand that, like, if you are, holding yourself accountable, taking accountability, that hopefully that too shall pass.
Yeah.
Supportive friend groups and just trusting the process.
Trust the process.
Learning from mistakes.
Absolutely.
Nice. Man.
That's another one.
Another one for the books. That one felt good for sure. Well.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
Thank you guys listening to Learn From Your Mistakes. Please like, comment, subscribe. Again, a wonderful shout out to our wonderful videographer, editor, cinematographer, all the furs, Libby behind the camera, my wonderful co-host Robin. Thank you as always. My name is Dallas, the Black PC. See y'all next time.
Bye. Bye. Bye.